Rich people are the real welfare queens. They barely have to pay federal income taxes, which is basically a handout from the government by another name. A new analysis by ProPublica, based on IRS documents, shows billionaires like Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk benefit to an obscene degree from tax code loopholes in the U.S. The 25 richest Americans paid little to nothing, relatively speaking, in federal income taxes between 2014 and 2018. In fact, in 2018, they collectively paid, listen to this, only 0.7% of their wealth in taxes. That must be nice, right? I wish I could get that, but I can't, right? Because I'm paying, just like you, paying taxes on income. So that's 20, 30, whatever plus percent that we're all paying. Robert Reich, former U.S. Secretary of Labor and author of The System, Who Rigged It, How to Fix It, talks to us about this later. Hello, Secretary Reich. Thank you for joining me. So Politico this week came into possession of a trove of IRS data that showed that the 25 richest Americans paid almost nothing as a percentage of their wealth in federal income taxes. Explain to our viewers how that works.
Well, it's perfectly legal, which is the real scandal. It works in the following way. Wealth is not taxed directly in the United States. Income is taxed, which means that if you are an extraordinarily wealthy person, you can use your wealth and you can borrow against your wealth. You can do a lot of things with your wealth, and it escapes taxation almost altogether. On top of that, you have managed through your wealth to have an entire army of lobbyists and tax attorneys who are working for you and with you, and for many years have created loopholes. And to the extent that you owe anything at all, you can probably find a loophole because you have wealth, you are wealthy enough to find and create those loopholes, and so you can avoid taxation. The answer, it seems to me, in my humble opinion, is we need in this country a wealth tax.
So how would that work exactly? So if you had wealth is based on valuations to some degree. So what if you had a bad year where the value of your wealth was down? Would you get a refund? Also, what if you're an art collector, for instance? You don't have a lot of wealth from the stock market or real estate, but you collected a lot of art over your time. Would you have to get that reappraised every year? How would it work?
Well, there are many ways it could be designed. You could design it on a rolling average over a 10-year period, for example, so that you could iron out ups and downs in your wealth. You could exempt certain classes of wealth, for example, family farms, if you wanted to. Other countries have various forms of wealth taxes. The problem is not the form of it. The problem is the political will. The wealthy have a great deal of political power in this country. Do you remember we used to talk about the carried interest loophole with regard to partnerships on Wall Street? And every single president in my memory, in every presidential campaign, has pledged to get rid of the carried interest loophole. Well, guess what? The carried interest loophole is still there. It is still providing a way in which some extraordinarily wealthy financial types are avoiding taxes. That's what I'm talking about. If you have enough money, if you have enough wealth, you not only can avoid taxation on that wealth, you can also afford lobbyists that will create loopholes for your income.
So do you believe that the reason that, the reaction to this is relatively minuscule? People look at it as a curiosity. Oh my God, they didn't pay much tax. But people, go crazy over the idea of a welfare queen, someone cheating on the low end of the spectrum, getting something for free, when in fact these people are getting enormous benefits basically for free. I mean, a tax credit or tax benefit or not paying taxes on money that you have or wealth that you have is getting something. Is it just because of the lobbyists, or do we have something built into our society, our culture, that looks down on poor people getting a break, but does not look down on rich people getting a break?
We have a mythology in this country, deeply embedded in America, that says you are paid what you're worth. If somebody earns several $billion a year, they must be worth it. If somebody is very poor, it must be their fault. We tend not to do what many other cultures do, and that is look at the system as a whole and understand that our market economy is a human creation. Laws and rules create the market economy. Those laws and rules are created by people, legislators, and judges and others. And those legislators and those judges and everybody around them that makes the market, they are susceptible to big money. I don't mean direct corruption, but I do mean lobbying. And over a number of years, the market starts rewarding great wealth in ways that nobody who are just looked at it, who came down from Mars, from another planet, and looked at this system, would say that's not rewarding talent. I mean, you can reward talent with a little bit of money. In the 1950s, we rewarded talent. We didn't provide talent with hundreds of billions of dollars. We did not say to ourselves that if you're poor, it is your fault. This is not necessarily endemic. It is not necessarily always part of the American system, but certainly over the last 40 years, we have seen this notion take hold that you are paid what you are worth, and therefore there is no kind of moral understanding of the immorality of this accumulation of great wealth without paying taxes.
Taking that into consideration and what you have said about the wealthy already being able to afford an army of lobbyists, is there anything on the horizon legislatively that would do anything to correct this imbalance?
Yes, there is. There's something called the For the People Act, which is very important, not only in terms of avoiding voter suppression, and not only in terms of preventing white supremacists from suppressing black votes and the votes of likely Democratic voters, but also avoiding what might be called wealth suppression and the wealth supremacists. That is, people who are using their great wealth to get benefits in the tax code and in law that entrenches that wealth. In other words, to put it a little bit simply, we've got white supremacists and wealth supremacists both attacking democracy. And both of those attacks on democracy could be rectified by the For the People Act. That's why the For the People Act
What provisions of the For the People Act are you
important.
specifically referring to?
I'm referring to provisions of the For the People Act which not only provide minimum voting standards, but also would reduce the power of great wealth in elections. Uh, Part of the For the People Act actually would give candidates matching public funds to match small contributions, thereby avoiding the problem we have now, which is that very large contributions can get through the mesh, can get through the filter. Very large campaign contributions from very rich people and their corporations now are find ways to get into their campaigns or support their campaigns. The For the People Act would level the playing field.
One of the striking things about this list is that these were not, people who assume that people who don't want to pay their fair share or don't pay it for whatever reason or because it's legal and they feel some obligation to take advantage of whatever is legal and available to them. They're not just conservatives. These are, liberal, supposedly liberal, open-minded, young progressive people in addition to conservatives. Is this wealth problem not really a partisan problem, but a problem unto itself, divorced from partisanship?
Yeah, I don't think it's a partisan problem. I think it is a problem that transcends partisan politics. Uh, we have not seen concentrated wealth this much, this concentrated at the top, since the Gilded Age of the 19th century, when you had robber barons who were bribing politicians, who were repressing and suppressing votes and repressing wages, and who were creating a society that was as unequal almost as we have today as society. This is a problem that has been created over time. It has a lot to do with great wealth having great power, and it infects both political parties, the Republican Party to a greater extent than the Democratic Party. But the mere fact that the Democrats are unable or unwilling to do much about this, to me, suggests that great wealth is also, and the wealth supremacists in the Democratic Party are making it very difficult for the public's will to be actually effectuated. Or to put that in a simpler another way, most people understand that there ought to be at least equal sacrifice, that the wealthy didn't get wealthy just because they were very clever. They got wealthy because they had wealthy parents, or they had wealthy advantages, or they had good luck, or they went to great schools, or they had the right connections, or they just simply were at the right place at the right time. The kind of wealth we're seeing right now has very little to do with anything resembling the kind of meritocratic system that we espouse, that we talk about, America being a meritocracy. Well, America is not a meritocracy.
Secretary Rice, thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it, sir.
Thank you, Charles.